Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
I call to order the meeting of the Finance Committee on December 9, 2025 at 5:32 p.m. First item of business is the approval of minutes. I'll need a motion on the draft minutes of the November 25, 2025 Finance meeting.
I move to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve by Alder Jetzer. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of adopting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 3, public appearances for non-agenda items. We have nobody in chambers nor online for non-agenda items. So we move on to item 4, Finance Director Report. Misty?
Thank you. So I'll point out to everybody we do have a packed full agenda tonight, but we have to be done in order for council to start on time. So obviously if you have questions, let's still make sure your questions are answered. But I'll kind of breeze through everything relatively quickly. So included in the packet is the October Treasurer's Report. We had one investment mature that was then reinvested. Otherwise it was a relatively normal month. I'll pause if there's questions. Other than that, yesterday we had our preliminary audit field work, which went well. Final field work, which is the big one, is in March. So we have a lot of work to do between now and then, but it's good to get that process kicked off. And then tax bills are expected to be mailed out on Thursday of this week. Statutorily, they have to be mailed next week, Monday, the third Monday in December. So we're well above that timeline. We usually try to hit about the 12th. So we're right in the timeline of what we would expect. And that is it.
Thank you very much. We can move on to item 5, review of bills. 5A, detailed review of all checks issued, checks 129659 to 129728 from November 16 to 30, 2025, totaling $504,387.88. Comments or questions? 5B, detailed review of all ACH payments from November 1 to 30, 2025, totaling $785,360.93. Comments or questions? So we can move on to item 6, action items. First up is 6A. I'll need a motion on resolution R 21325, amending the 2025 TID closure excess increment fund budget for Wildwood South tennis courts.
I'll move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Lettice. Adam?
Thank you. This is a budget amendment to redo the Wildwood South tennis courts. The proposed budget amendment is $47,000. That would include the creation of plans and specifications, construction inspection, the construction, the reconstruction of the courts, and then contingency. This is a 2/3 vote at the council. And we intend to complete this work in 2026.
Was this part of the reconstruction schedule? Was this a plan, or is this earlier than anticipated?
There was some confusion, I think, on our side as we put together the capital budget, thinking this price would be less than $10,000, and in reality, it came in over $10,000. So we kind of missed that window to put it into the capital side, and then couldn't get in the operating side. So we're well aware it needed some work, and instead of trying to delay it another year, we thought we'd try to get this taken care of with that TID money.
Great. Bill?
So this is not a huge dollar amount. Is this just going to be like crack filling, or what's going to happen?
My understanding, I haven't looked at this in a little time, but my understanding it's going to be some crack filling, especially along where the joints are. Probably doing some fiber mesh along those joints as well too, and then probably doing some type of overlay on top of that. the contractor we use, or not the contractor, the designer we use has kind of looked at this already. The same designer we are using for Chicory, the same designer we're using for Swan Creek. And it wouldn't be a complete rip out, but it basically just like a recoating of it with some additional buffering or, enforcement. And the thought process too, when we bid this out with Swan Creek, is hopefully we might get a better price on it with maybe the same contractor.
Are we able to add that like fiberglass coating? We have to do that during the initial construction? Or?
Yeah, we thought that initially. We were hoping to do that, and the designer recommended against that. He said we should probably put that on where the joints and seams are, but he said not for the whole court. That was one of the questions we had too, though.
Seeing no other questions, we can vote. All in favor of Resolution R 21325, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Adam. Next is Resolution R 21525, amending the 2025 Capital Projects Fund budget, reallocation of 2024A debt proceeds.
I move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Jetzer. Misty?
We borrowed money in 2024 primarily for a fire piece of equipment and the police facility. As I'm sure you know, the police facility process took a little bit longer than what we thought, and so we're struggling to spend the money I borrowed in 2024 at the timelines that we're required to. So I have to have 75% of it spent by this Friday. We do know that there's a lot of costs coming, so I don't expect to have a problem spending the rest of it, but hitting this Friday's deadline is a bit of a challenge. So what I'm proposing here is to swap some funds, and instead of spending this borrowed money on the police facility, we're going to spend it on the streets projects and then swap it so that the funding is still available for the other projects. I'm not changing how much can actually be spent on the projects. I am just swapping funding sources.
And this flexibility exists because of the note versus the bond?
Correct.
Designation? Okay. Other questions?
This is similar to what we did when we avoided the arbitrage thing. Okay.
Yep, so we did this exact same thing at the 1 year mark because we couldn't hit that spend down either. So, yep, continuation. I don't expect it to be a problem for the final, so we shouldn't have to do this again. And then going forward, hopefully projects will stay closer to on time.
All right. Seeing no other questions, we can vote. All in favor of Resolution R 21525, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next up is 6C, Resolution R 21625, amending the 2025 Debt and Capital Projects Fund budgets, payment on special assessments, and excess interest revenue to reduce future debt issuance.
I'll move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Lattice. Misty?
So as we just talked about, I can't spend the 2024 money fast enough, so I obviously did not borrow in 2025. However, when looking at the kind of debt service fund in total, we had a large special assessment that was made, payment that was made, and then some of the ones from the Uptown Roads went on the tax roll for the first time with that money coming in 2025. Plus our interest revenue continues to be higher than what would be, I would call normal in this current environment. So I'd like to use all of those funding sources to reduce the amount that I will borrow in 2026 to complete the police facility project.
Questions? Bill?
Go ahead.
What does it mean to be a bona fide debt service fund?
Yeah, so under the arbitrage rules, so that rebate payment that we're going to have to make, if you are a bona fide debt service fund, which means that you use that fund simply to collect money from property taxes to make your payments and you don't accumulate too much cash in there, then we don't have to go through the exercise to see how much interest was earned on the money while we're waiting to make the payments for that 1 year. So a debt service fund is designed to be basically just a cash flow in and out thing and cleared out at the end of it each year.
Can you talk about the amounts of money that we're working with here?
Yep. So from the special assessment side, so there was one particular deferred special assessment that paid. So that was about $500,000. And we are ultimately then using that money to pay the debt that we borrowed for that particular project. And then that frees up the property taxes that I levied to make that payment that we can then shift over to the police services facility. And then there's another 400,000 for the tax roll from the same uptown roads, but ones that weren't deferred, that went onto the tax roll for the first year, that we didn't include in the budget. So that amount there. And then interest revenue for 2025, I'm projecting that'll be about 175,000 over what I had budgeted.
So a little bit of over $1 million, reducing the debt issuance for next year.
Yes. 1.2, almost. And again, I'm not changing how much can actually be spent on the police facility. I am simply proposing a change in how that's funded.
So if we left, so for the interest revenue, if that stayed there, would then we be subject to an arbitrage payment for it?
I'd have to go through the calculations for it. And so we ultimately want to levy or to put property taxes for the amount that we actually have to pay in debt interest and principal payments each year. And then I expect a little bit of interest to reduce that amount, but not to this level. If that does sit in there, I would be worried about not being a bona fide debt service fund anymore. Beyond that, all it does is at some point I will have a lower amount than what I really should. And so you kind of have that structural deficit that plays into it. If that makes sense, not really. So interest is very high right now, right? And so when let's say we think we're going to spend $1 million on principal and interest payments, I will levy $995,000 in property taxes, and I'll expect $5,000 of interest to make up for that $1 million of principal and interest that I want to make, or that I have to make. Because I'm getting more interest than I expect to, I'll use that money to pay for the principal and interest, and then the property taxes can be used somewhere else because that came in so much more.
Are we, however, earning more interest currently than we're paying on the bonds themselves?
Not in total, no.
I
guess
just
maybe
mean like from a rate standpoint. So like if we left this 175,000 sitting in an account earning 4% or whatever we're earning, isn't our interest rate on the bonds less than that? Like because we're just using this to reduce principal of the bonds, correct?
Right, and so then that's where it would become the arbitrage issue, because arbitrage would be any amount that we are earning more than what we would pay in the amount. And so if it's a bona fide debt service, meaning it just cash in, cash out, we basically more or less net to zero at the end of the year, then we don't have to factor that into the calculation. If we don't, and I start accumulating funds in there, then it becomes a possible arbitrage issue.
And what is the penalty if that happens?
You have to pay a portion of it back to the federal government.
Okay.
Plus then there's the administrative cost of figuring out what that payment is.
I thought arbitrage payments was only for interest on federal money that we had in our accounts. So is this interest on federal money that we're talking about?
So yes, so interest on the money that we borrow because it's tax exempt from a federal perspective is what the general arbitrage is. You can exclude and earn whatever you want to earn on your debt service fund from the time you collect the property taxes until you make those principal and interest payments throughout the year. You don't have to factor that into the calculation as long as you have a bona fide debt service fund. And so it's money that's sitting there because of debt. And the intention of debt is to flow in and out each time.
So this isn't the interest on any just money. This is the interest specifically on our bond.
On the money we collected in property taxes to make principal and interest payments on our bonds.
And that is subject to arbitrage payments.
If it's not a bona fide debt service fund, it can be.
Okay.
So in the interest of time, this is the last council meeting of the year, so it would be great if you're open to still approving it as a budget amendment, and we can have a further conversation about what this means at a future meeting, if that was an option. Otherwise, ultimately, it's your call.
I feel like this should be as easy to understand as our previous one, but it seems more difficult for me. So what are the consequences of not passing this? We would wind up having to pay some arbitrage, and this is how we're shuffling the money around so we don't have to do that?
So I guess there's two things that would happen if this isn't approved. One is we could potentially not have a bona fide debt service fund any longer, and that would need to be factored into our arbitrage determinations on all of our debt issuances going forward, and something we'd have to keep track of. The other piece of it is if I don't use this $175,000 to reduce how much I borrow for the police facility, now I'm borrowing more in 2026 because I'm not applying this cash to the project. So that would be issuance cost and future interest on that dollar amount over the 20 years that we'll borrow for in 2026.
Misty, in addition to staff time, don't we also have to pay others to help us make that arbitrage calculation?
Absolutely. And so as of right now, we don't pay for that service to look at our debt service fund because we are a qualified debt service fund.
Did we do this in a previous year? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've done this every year.
When interest, so we did it last year, for sure. I believe we did it the last couple years before that too, whenever there's payments that I wasn't necessarily expecting to buy down the amount that we'll borrow in the future. Yes, this is relatively routine.
And I guess part of my hesitancy is that we're using tax money that we collected to pay off debt rather than on the normal debt schedule, but that tax money feels, that could be used for contingency for other things then, right? If we're not spending it on this.
We already have a contingency fund that is set aside every year through the operating budget process, and the carryover process also allows that money to accumulate when it is not spent. So if I recall correctly in a conversation that I had recently with Misty, we already have approximately $190,000 in contingency available, let alone other potential sources like the TID increment interest that is continuing to be earned, and or if we had to, go into the city's, undesignated general fund, if you will, for some sort of really significant situation. So I guess from at least my perspective, and I'm not a finance director, but I do believe that we have an adequate amount of contingency currently sitting there based upon what's accumulated, as well as other options if there is a need for contingent funds to operate the city. So unless there's some sort of specific use that folks are identifying or trying to identify for this money, it would be my recommendation to utilize the existing contingency we've already built for some measure of contingency, and certainly look to benefit the taxpayer by paying down the debt.
Okay, so we're not painting ourselves into any sort of a corner.
No.
By doing, okay.
Yep.
It's a fairly large amount of money that's coming from taxes.
So the almost $1 million was from special assessments that we...
I thought it was like 500,000 special assessments, 400,000 new property tax?
No, I had said tax roll. Maybe that's what confused it. So it was this, when we do a special assessment, sometimes they can pay it over 5 years. That goes on the tax roll as a special charge. So these are special assessments. The first year went on the tax roll this last year and was paid. So it's not property taxes, but it is part of the tax bill as a special assessment payment. So yes, none of the money that I'm proposing to reduce how much we borrow next year, none of it is property tax money. It is, at least not directly, it's the interest and then these payments on special assessments.
I know we have a long agenda. I have one more question. The special assessments make sense to me. The interest revenue is where I'm hesitating a little, just because that's kind of, if you put that towards the debt, then it's gone forever. I mean, like you have no potential to use it for anything else, like you said, if there's a contingency or something. And I just want to clarify one thing. So we wouldn't be issuing additional bonds other than what we authorized for the police facility if we didn't spend that use that $175,000 to pay down the debt. We'd be issuing the same amount of bonds because this is excess interest that we collected over the year. Is that right?
Yep. So let's say I need to borrow $20 million still. I will borrow 20 million less the 175,000
Right,
to reduce how much we borrow, which will save us on issuance cost and then also interest on that money.
Ready to vote? Great. All in favor of Resolution R 21625, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next up is Resolution R 21725, amending the 2026 General Fund Budget, Finance Specialist and LTE Building Inspector hours from vacant code enforcement position and reduced planning intern hours.
I move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Jetzer. Misty or Chad?
I can certainly cover this one. So as you know, we embarked on some restructuring this fall in City Hall that you were all made aware of, as well as obtaining the necessary approvals through respective committees, commissions, and or Common Council. What this budget amendment does is, through the reduction of one full-time position in the building inspection department, as well as a reduction in the available hours for the planning department intern, we have created a situation where we can hire or create a procurement, finance, and budget specialist position using those reallocated funds. As far as the building inspection department goes, this also does allow for approximately 8 hours of LTE support in the building inspection department over the course of 8 hours over the per week over the course of a year. And the planning department still has what we believe to be an adequate number of hours available for an intern based upon historical usage of those intern hours. Anything to add at all, Misty, on that one?
No.
No? All right.
So we don't need the code enforcement inspector position? Is it? Why is that position vacant, and why is the? Can you talk about the decision to switch between?
Sure, absolutely. So we had 4 full-time equivalent positions in the building inspection department, and in light of the failed referendum and the need for us to continuously evaluate where we apply the financial resources that we have to meet the most significant needs within the city and its various departments, the difficult decision was made due to an opening, actually 2 openings in the building inspection department, to eliminate one of those positions and reallocate that funding to a procurement and budget specialist. That position will be utilized primarily to assist the Public Works Department with a myriad of finance-related and project-related tasks, as well as be available for any other department who doesn't typically do a lot of procurement, requests for proposals, those sorts of things. So while it is unfortunate that a department is having a reduction in headcount, it is clearly a byproduct of a failed referendum, and again, the need for us to be as efficient as we possibly can with the financial resources that we have available.
Questions?
So the extra, it looks like the extra cost is about $25,000, but that's being essentially absorbed by the utilities. Is that correct? Okay.
I know this was a really needed position, so I'm glad that able to make it work. I know that's under unfortunate circumstances, but I know the Public Works Department could really use that assistance. Other questions, Bill?
Yeah, so with this reduction in headcount, does that affect public safety in any way?
We don't anticipate that it will. Is it ideal? Of course it is not. It was probably just 4 years ago that the 4th position was added in the building inspection department. So it is difficult to obviously, in such a short period of time, subsequently reduce it. That is one of the reasons why we wanted to ensure that there was at least some funding available for LTE support, so that if they do have periods where they are busier than they have the capacity to deal with, or it is otherwise affecting projects from getting their inspections completed, they can bring in additional resource to help supplement what they have available. And of course, I wouldn't be surprised if we would look to increase those LTE hours over time if there's a business case to be made for that. But I guess to answer your question, Alder Jester, no, I don't believe that public safety will be jeopardized because of it. It may delay some of the inspections being done depending upon capacity, but it's certainly how we inspect to a standard, and that standard will still need to be met.
Seeing no other questions, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of Resolution R 21725, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to 6E, I'll need a motion on Resolution R 21825 to approve modifications to the 2026 Healthy Neighborhoods Grant Program.
I'll move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Lettuce. Deanna, are you covering this?
Yeah, jump in here. Good evening, everyone. This is some staff proposed modifications to the Healthy Neighborhood Grant Program. You might know that the grant program has been part of the Healthy Neighborhoods program since 2017. There has been time to time some changes in the program. What is proposed are two changes. The first one is to increase the maximum award from $15,000 to $25,000. The reason for that is we have heard from our grantees and the nonprofits that we work with that having some additional funding would be very helpful for their work. And right now, staff is managing approximately 13 grants in 2025, and that's simply a lot for staff, a lot of administrative work. And so what we would like to do is increase the amount available per grant with the hope to bring down the total number of grants that we do award per year. The second modification is to add some language in the grant proposal paperwork, the request for proposals, to incentivize nonprofits to provide some services in the yet to be named hub on Traceway Drive. So we would just, for example, add some additional points in our scoring system for the grants in order to incentivize and support the proposed activities at the new hub. So those are the changes.
Micah.
Yeah, is there any concern that adding that incentive would prioritize organizations that work in the healthy neighborhood area that is where the hub is located over the other three?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that the hub is an important for all of our healthy neighborhoods, and what we usually try to do in past years is to award some dollars to each of the priority neighborhoods. That's generally a goal. Actually, many of our organizations, say, for example, the River Food Bank, they actually serve multiple neighborhoods too. So I think it's a good point. We'll have to kind of keep an eye on making sure that it doesn't detract negatively from our other priority neighborhoods.
Okay, thanks.
I think increasing to 25,000 can be pretty powerful for organizations. That's a very significant amount of money, and I like the idea of us potentially reducing the number of grantees, but having a bigger impact on those organizations and the work that they do. Bill, did you have something?
I was just wondering if you ever put a limit on the number of grantees given staff capacity to administer them.
We have not. We have tried to get every dollar out the door that we can. And so what that has meant the last couple of years is a decreasing number of grants, but we haven't limited the number of grants. We've just tried to get the dollars out the door.
Seeing nothing else, we can vote. All in favor of Resolution R 21825, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on, I'll need a motion on Resolution R22225, approving the purchase of replacement fire department staff vehicle.
I move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Jetzer. Chief, you're up.
Yes, this is the two separate individual items. One is for the purchase of the vehicle, the other is for outfitting the vehicle. First one, $48,000 roughly, and the second one, $28,000. This will be a response vehicle replacing one of our older staff vehicles. So a little bit of a price increase compared to the last time we have ordered one, but pretty much in line with what the police are paying for their vehicles, which obviously they order much more frequently. So.
What kind of vehicle is this?
It's just like a police squad car. It's a Ford Explorer.
And is an electric car not a possibility for this type of vehicle?
So we haven't ordered a vehicle in a bit, but we've done some collaborative research with both internal and some external agencies that are running electric vehicles for response and due to the electrical load and environmental issues, mainly the cold. It is not very efficient right now, even as much as limiting some of these vehicles to 100 miles per charge. So when we have to sit on scene, we're not confident in that right now for response. If we were doing it as a day-to-day non-response vehicle, we would definitely be going for electric.
Bill?
Yeah, I noticed in the documentation, the base model is a hybrid, and we're spending an extra $2,850 to get a strictly gas burning version that is going to wind up getting worse gas mileage. Is that something we actively chose, or did you find this on the lot and that happened to be the option that it came with?
So it's through the state bid system. There are some other options, and again, I'm kind of new to this system. Mm-hmm. There are some other options, but we elected to go with the state bid system. And I don't believe the hybrid and the interceptor package was available when we quoted this. So is that what you're seeing in that quote?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the standard is a hybrid, and then the option that was chosen here was the 99C drivetrain, which is a strictly ICE engine, and it's a $2,850 increase in price. The other thing is the axle ratio is a little bit different, and I didn't know if that was the driving factor.
Yeah, and so the suspension, the braking, all of that in the police package or the interceptor package is different. I would have to check with Chief Grossen regarding the choice from hybrid to straight gas.
Okay. It just seemed weird that we were paying $3,000 so we could pay more in fuel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember the conversation, which was months ago, but I know we favored a hybrid option. So I think I'm not remembering the reason we couldn't do that.
Other questions? All right, we can take it to a vote. All in favor of Resolution R22225, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to Resolution R22325, approving purchase of radios and accessories for replacement fire department staff car.
I'll move approval.
Motion to approve by Alder Lettice. Anything to add about the accessories?
So we've seen this is the first time in our purchasing that the accessory package and install is greater than $25,000. But again, we did our due diligence checking with comparables with the police and other agencies in this area, and it seems like that's the market price now.
So that's the reason we don't typically see these come through council, because they're approved administratively.
The vehicle, yes, but not the outfitting of the vehicle.
Got it. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. If you've been out shopping recently, it's an unfortunate reality I think we're all dealing with in every area. So,
I was just going to ask about the $28,000 price tag, how that compares with previous? I don't know when we did this the last time. But
It's never the outfitting with supplies, things like that has not been over 25,000 in the past. For the fire department, I can't speak for police.
Right. I'm just wondering, has it been significantly under? Does this represent a mild change in price or a significant change?
Again, I don't remember the exact numbers, but Chief Grossen had, I think, reflected on like a 15 to 20% increase. But again, we haven't ordered one of these vehicles in, I believe, either 6 to 8 years on our side. But it's essentially the same, a very similar setup to a squad car. And when I talked with Chief Morales, he said it was very much in line with what they're paying, which they order much more frequently, obviously.
Okay.
So.
And I guess a 20% change over the last 6 years, given the inflation we've seen, is probably to be expected.
Yes. And you know, what we were really worried about is there's a delivery lag time. So we thought it was going to be as much as 12 months just to get the vehicle in Wisconsin. But it sounds like it's going to be more like 3 or 4, we're hoping. So that's really good news. So.
All right. All in favor of Resolution R 22325, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Chief.
Right. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. Next item is R 22525, a resolution supporting collaboration with neighboring communities to explore the creation of a joint fire and EMS district.
I move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Jetzer.
I've got
Ken?
this one. This is an ongoing conversation that I think we most recently had back in August at a committee of the whole in regards to long-term EMS service provision, specifically in the city of Fitchburg. As a byproduct of that conversation back in August, the council signaled an interest in exploration of a joint fire and EMS district with neighboring communities. There have been, I think, a total of 3 meetings between the chief elected officials and administrators from the Village of Oregon, City of Verona, and City of Fitchburg. And in the most recent meeting, the respective fire chiefs representing fire and EMS service in those communities were also present for a meeting. What you have before you now is a resolution that would indicate with certainty the council's support and desire for further exploration of a joint fire and EMS district, and would also, authorize $50,000, up to $50,000 of TID closure excess increment funding for long-range planning for the delivery of fire and EMS services with likelihood of consultant services being utilized to assist with preparing this report, doing an analysis, and effectively creating a roadmap that the city council could consider whether or not to go down and form a joint fire and EMS district.
Questions from the committee? We've had a lot of conversation about this, and I think we've all expressed interest in pursuing this. So we can, if anyone's interested in learning more, we have a long committee of the whole discussion that can be watched on our YouTube or FACTv site. All in favor of Resolution R 226, all in favor of Resolution R 22525, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next is Resolution R 22625, authorizing the transfer of city-owned Danecom public safety radio system equipment from the city of Fitchburg to Dane County.
I did email.
Oh, wait, hold on. We need a motion.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I move approval.
Motion by Alder Jetzer.
I did email some documents to Common Council members late this afternoon. It took a bit longer to get some docs finalized with Dane County than we had hoped. Also, the city clerk has regenerated the city's agenda and packet for this particular meeting. The Common Council meeting, so that documentation will now be available within the agenda packet for anybody taking a look. But effectively, what this resolution does is authorize the city to transfer its Danecom radio site equipment, which is part of a wider public safety radio communications network being operated by Dane County, that the city and many other municipalities participate in. We do have 2 sites, as I mentioned. Both of those sites, I believe, were installed in approximately 2014 at a cost of about $1.4 million. And by transferring this equipment to Dane County, it relieves the city of future capital costs estimated to be at $2 million to replace these 2 sites, and an estimated $12,000 in annual operating costs associated with both of the sites. Dane County, as you note in the documents, is willing to take these 2 sites. And then there is a corresponding agreement within this packet, I should point out, that would allow Dane County to keep the existing operating radio equipment on the McKee water tower.
Is there a reason that we had this equipment within our own capital expenditures previously? And did other communities have this as well? Or is this unique to Fitchburg?
This was unique to Fitchburg. I wasn't overly involved in this process, but I am familiar with it due to my employment with the city at the time. There was concerns raised by the then fire chief about the level of coverage within the city under the newly proposed DaneCom radio system, and that fire chief, who also had an extensive radio knowledge, if you will, and experience, worked with the Common Council to identify these 2 sites, secure the funding, construct them, and have them integrated into the DaneCom system. Dane County consented to all of this at the time. They had some measure of skepticism that those towers were needed. However, since the system has been in place, Dane County does acknowledge that those sites are beneficial to the overall system, hence their willingness to take them.
Interesting. Did we budget for that $12,000 annual cost in the 2026 budget?
We did, yes.
Okay. Other questions? We can take it to a vote. All in favor of resolution R22625, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And next we have resolution R22825, authorizing rejection of the police services facility audio video bid.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Ladisay. Tim?
Good evening. The new police services facility will need an audio-video system. FGM Architects prepared plans and specifications for the installation and implementation of an audio-video system. Project was advertised in the Wisconsin State Journal on October 30th, 2025 and November 6th, 2025, with bids due on November 13th, 2025. In addition, the bid documents were placed on questcdn.com. On November 13th, 2025, one online bid was received from Fairings Audio Video in the amount of $503,706.78. The bid received was more than the $250,000 budgeted for this project. Staff's recommendation is to reject the bid and rebid the project in January 2026. Looking for council to reject the bid received for the police services facility audio video system and authorize staff to rebid the project.
Questions from the committee? Seeing none, all in favor of resolution R22825, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is resolution R22925, authorizing city staff to contract with the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission, CARPC, for facilitation services related to development discussions in southeast Fitchburg.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Ladisay. Chad?
So this also is an item that has come before the Common Council in some way, shape, or form previously. This is in regards to the potential for collaboration of development with the Village of Oregon in southeast Fitchburg, immediately north of the Village of Oregon limits. This conversation has come up on at least 2 or 3 other occasions over the last 25 years or so. There's been some renewed interest, some presentations at Fitchburg Committee of the Whole. And what you have before you now is a request to engage the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission to facilitate some small meetings with property owners, select elected officials, and select city staff complete a report and present the findings to both the Village of Oregon Board and the Fitchburg Common Council with a targeted date of the first quarter of 2026 to have that report and presentation. The cost is approximately $7,700 with a 50% cost share with the Village of Oregon. We would pay the invoice and then subsequently invoice Oregon for their 50% share. So net cost to the city of Fitchburg would be roughly $3,650.
Questions? All in favor of Resolution R22925, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have Resolution R23125, amendment to the final assessment, amendment to the final assessment amounts for the 2024 sidewalk replacement. I believe Bill has a motion.
Yeah, I move we table this. Apparently there was another issue that was discovered, so we'll deal with this at a future date.
Anything to add to that, Tim, about the postponement?
Nope, that was summed up perfectly.
All in favor of postponing to a date uncertain? Is that what we're doing?
Are we scrapping this resolution altogether and generating a new one later, or are we postponing this one?
I just postpone indefinitely at this point.
Okay.
All right,
Please.
So motion to postpone R23125 indefinitely on the table. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. That is postponed. Moving on to Resolution R23825, resolution of support of Rost Family Rentals LLC application to the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, WEDC, for a Community Development Investment Grant, CDI.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Lattice. Chad?
So this resolution is in regards to a potential redevelopment opportunity at 2917 Fish Hatchery Road, which is the southeast corner of Fish Hatchery Road and Ochala Drive. The UPS store is looking to relocate to this location. They have, I believe, acquired the property or at least have it under contract. And in lieu of a simple facelift, if you will, the city has engaged the purchasers with the potential to try to do a more robust redevelopment there that would also bring some additional commercial space as well as some housing units to that site and be in line with the city's vision that had been created through the most recent Fish Hatchery Road plan. What this resolution simply is an indication of support from the Common Council that can be included in the application that the purchasers are going to make to the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation for Community Development Investment Grant.
Questions from the committee? Seems like a no-brainer. All right. All in favor of Resolution R23825, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next up, Resolution R24125, approving purchase of police squad.
I move approval.
Motion approved by Alder Jetzer.
I've got this one too.
All
You guys
right.
are going to be sick of me by the end of the evening if you're not already. November 24th, 2025, one of the police department squads was involved in a crash. That car has since been assessed by our city's insurance company, and the adjuster has deemed the vehicle to be a total loss. So what you have before you is authorization to purchase a replacement squad through Ewald Automotive. And I believe that CIVMIC is covering the cost of this replacement minus our deductible.
Questions? Yeah.
I'll just note that the base cost for the 2025 model is somehow $1,000 higher than the base cost for the 2026 model that Chief Sarver was looking at.
What is the lead time on these vehicles?
This one I think actually is sitting on the lot. If I looked at the referral, yeah, this one is actually on the lot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So this one they're going to be able to grab right off the bat.
Is everyone okay
Yeah.
with the crash? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. They were minor injuries, I believe.
Okay. Anything else? Seeing nothing, all in favor of Resolution R24125, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is 2025-031, repealing the fire facilities impact fee and creating the police facilities impact fee by repealing Section 44-146 and creating Section 1020 of the Fitchburg General Code of Ordinances.
I'll move to approve.
Motion approved by Alder Lettice. Who wants to kick this off?
I got it.
Adam.
So I think we have 5 minutes for this, so we'll go as quick as we can.
All right.
Reasonably. So before you tonight is a repeal of the existing fire impact fee and then establishing a police facility impact fee. As part of this, we did publish a notice of public hearing on November 18th of 2025, indicating that there be a public hearing at December 9th of 2025. There is a public hearing tonight at the council meeting that is required by statute. And with that, I'll turn it over to John Cameron from Ellers. He's going to give a very, very brief, high-level overview of this. And then if there's time at council, we can go into more probably detailed discussion, or he has a full-blown presentation if you want to see it there.
Sounds great. John, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening. At a high level, impact fees are one-time fees payable at the issuance of the building permit. Their purpose is to recover the proportionate share of the capital costs related to serving new growth in the city. In the case of the law enforcement impact fee, approximately 35% of the new facility was identified to serve future growth. The impact fee was calculated based on that deficiency growth analysis. The recommended fee is lower than what is shown in the study. That is to balance the needs of growing needs of the community against the revenues that are coming in via the impact fee revenue.
So to kind of pick it up from there, thanks, John. The proposed fee would be $861 for a single family dwelling unit, $574 for a multifamily unit, 19 cents per square foot for commercial use, and then 30 cents per square foot for commercial use. As John indicated, this is lower than what we could have gone to. How we arrived at these numbers, we're taking the existing fire impact fees, factoring inflation up till today, and then arriving at this number with that intent of trying to help pay for the cost of the new police facility, but then also balancing, the need for development and not scaring off development. So that's how we arrived at it. But we could have gone significantly higher. And we'd be happy to answer any questions.
And go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, so I saw in the Ellers analysis numbers like $1,552, $1,032. The only one that was the same between Ellers and the actual fee is the industrial at 30 cents per square foot. So I'm just wondering, what explains that difference? Is it, what explains that difference?
Yeah, the fire one existing today, when factoring in that inflation, that's what actually came out at, I think, a penny higher than what was recommended by Ellers if we just took straight inflation from that. I don't know, because that kind of goes back to however the fire facility impact fee was established, since we kind of used that as the baseline of establishing this one. So I can't say why that there's a significant difference there. Mostly because we're not basing it on the Ellers. I mean, a lot of this is Ellers has, we can go up to, almost double what most of these are, but we based it on the fire one. So without knowing how that was created and established in the parameters, that's something we did not look at.
Okay, so Ellers recommended that we could do the $1,500 and the $1,000, et cetera. And
we went lower.
We said we're not going to do that. We're going to just keep the impact fee roughly the same, adjusted for inflation as to what the, okay.
Yes, and that's how that one, for whatever reason, landed at the same recommendation that Ellers said you could go to. That's how it landed there.
Okay.
Micah?
Does lowering the fees lower the total limit of what we are allowed to collect?
Yes.
Okay. And how do these fees compare
Yes.
Okay.
It does. You'll recover approximately $5 million towards the new facility, as opposed to about $8 million under the maximum proposed fee in the study.
And how do these fees compare to surrounding municipalities in Dane County?
In total, they're lower. without diving in and providing a detailed comparison, I can't say how much lower, but they're very reasonable.
I would also add one of the considerations from a staff perspective is the impact on the affordability of housing, which is another reason why we elected not to recommend the full amount that could be collected under this impact fee.
I know we started talking about this more than a year ago. I think it's prudent both to replace the fire impact fee rather than add to it. And I think it's also prudent to keep the amount lower. These impact fees are paid by developers, and that is passed on to whomever purchases the property or rents the property. So it does affect affordability. I do think it's still important to have impact fees because that's what we need to do to pay for our city, but keeping it at a more reasonable amount, I think, is important if we want to encourage development. Kind of finding a balance there is important, in my opinion. Questions? Other questions? Seeing none, all in favor of Ordinance 2025-031, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Item 7, announcements. Our next finance meeting will be January 13, 2026. We do cancel our second meeting in December, so do not join us in 2 weeks. I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Alder Jetzer. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned at 6:26 p.m. Thank you.